All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. We're back. Nades and I talking baseball. It was a big slate yesterday, Nades, 10 games. And they said, well, you want to see big? Look at this slate. 14 games today. It's a wild one, man. We were talking a little pre-show. Pitching, I mean, you can make a case for, I think, 15 of these guys, and I don't think you're crazy one bit. Coors Field is on the slate. The Astros, far and away, will be the chalkiest team. Team total above 7, but there's definitely other spots on this slate we can play. I'm excited to get your pitching takes, and this is definitely a slate where I go and I look at the pitcher rankings over here at SHIPITNation.com. Before I can throw it to you, though, Brian England in chat, AFG in here, Mike Carr, Bill B, Richie Smalls, Bumps in here, Jax, Gator Nation. Yeah, Jax talking about the Petta game yesterday, 1%. He said on Yahoo he was sub 10% on DK. The closer it got to the slate, people are just like, no need to take a risk on him. Well, if you did take a risk, good stuff to you. He absolutely put up a nuke. Pretty good pitching slate yesterday. I think we got a lot right yesterday on the slate. Nades, excited to talk about it today. How's your Tuesday going, man? What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Tuesday's going good. It was a little rough overall, but we did make some really good calls. I just couldn't put it all together. My guy CJ Abrams, the dude is just locked in. I mean, he continues to do it. He gets walked, steals instantly. He was even picked off, and he's still getting stolen bases after getting picked off. You really love to see that in terms of fantasy. Overall, was a solid night. A bunch of screenshots I saw in the Discord. Congrats if you did. You did eat the Pavetta risk there, and it paid off in a big way. That just goes to show you, right, how a little bit of uncertainty in this industry does lead people to go elsewhere. Kind of like the Logan Webb, but I stuck true. There was a million questions in the Discord leading up to lock. Myself and Titletown were in there answering questions, and we both said, hey, we're sticking with Logan Webb. And while he was SP1 on the slate, we gave that out, and the dude was sub 20%. So that was nice to see. He dropped a nice one and didn't even that game didn't even finish, which was a little hurtful to see, but ready to dive in. 14 games on tap tonight. Pretty interesting slate. Like you said, 15 to 20 of these guys. I won't be surprised if in MME, a lot of these players have 15, 20 pitchers, something like that, and go more condensed on offense, because it is a pretty wide open slate, in my opinion.
Yeah, if I had to pick, we talked about it a little yesterday. If I had to pick right away, if I had to be more spread out at pitching or hitting and more condensed at the other, I would definitely be more spread out at pitching today, more condensed when it comes to bats. That's just me, though. But we'll break it down as always. All we ask from you guys, like button, subscribe button. Again, takes 2 seconds out of the day. You guys know the drill by now. A lot of familiar faces. Jordan's in here as well. John's in here. Roddy's in here. Okay goes. He's used to listening to us on 1.5x, so we sound drunk right now. Yes, that is definitely true. Whenever I listen to something on 1.5x or I catch up, feels night and day listening to the difference. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us, hanging out live. Razzle got 10 starting pitchers in his pool right now. He hates it. Hey, 10 is better than I think some people will have. We'll go break it all down, though. Andrew Martinez, as always, asking questions right away. You know how the show goes, Andrew Martinez. We'll talk stacks after we talk pitching. Let's get right into it, though, Nades. Oh, actually, before we get into it, got to shout out our friends over at Drafters, our partner here. Use that promo code SHIPIT. Head over to drafters.com. They will match 100% all the way from $20 to $100. Marley and I are going to be talking best ball, doing a live draft tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern time. So join that. You can get in the draft with us, talk all strategy. And, of course, 110,000 people in that contest. Right now, I'm not completely sure if it's going to fill just like last year. So definitely recommend heading over to Drafters, my favorite site to play best ball on. It's different than some of the other ones. We have rankings over here at SHIPITNation.com. We talk about our strategy, Marley and I, in the Discord on those shows every single week. So check out Drafters. SHIPIT is the promo code there. If you want to join us at SHIPITNation.com, head over. $59 a month, $599 a year. PGA locks. It is tomorrow, I believe, at least tomorrow, my time. I think it's 1 Eastern, 1 a.m. Eastern for the Open. So make sure to check that out. And big announcement we've had. Tambo dropped in the Discord in the announcement section. Ownership or projections will be live for PGA and MMA on the site. You can also sort them by, like when we get to NBA, NFL and stuff, by teams, by positions as well. So we'll keep adding stuff over here like we promised at SHIPITNation.com. Projections for the Open, projections for MMA this week. Very exciting stuff. So we'd love to have you. MMA, PGA, MLB, NFL around the corner, best ball, NBA when it all comes, all for a low price, $59. Get in the Discord if you do join. Hoop's in here as well. What's going on? Hoop, Jake got here as well, so he didn't quit his job. He's here on time. Love to see that. It's time to dive into pitching, though. With so many games on this slate, Nades, I'm just going to say 9K and above right now because we have 7 pitchers, 9K and above. I think a couple of them are interesting at the bottom. Bailey Ober, 9.1K. He's actually my favorite in this range. I'm going to go right back to yesterday in the Seattle-Minnesota game. I like both pitchers there. We'll talk about the Seattle side, which will be popular. I think Bailey Ober is interesting against Seattle. Pitchers Park, I mean, he's been good as of late. K-prop, solid 5.5 juice on the over. A lot of these K-props aren't very great. Umpire looks neutral. Other than that, Giolito has a name. He might get played a bit. Joe Musgrove grades out pretty well in our rankings. Evaldi's been good earlier in the year, starting to fall off a little bit. Mitch Keller, Edward Cabrera in this range. Break it down 9K and above, Nades. What you doing up here?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short and sweet for the people. Could you play Evaldi? Yeah, absolutely you could. I don't see the need to spend up here on the slate. I like our beloved Atlanta Braves in Truist Park in hot and humid 95-degree weather with some slight wind blowing out. And if you take a look at the roster, if anyone has played MLB DFS this season, right, the Braves are expensive, and I'm not going to play up for Evaldi. There's some risk there. Does he have upside? Yeah, absolutely he does. He's been incredible all season long. But I got 2 guys in this range that I like. Number 1, Joe Musgrove. He ranks very well on our stuff. It's about 75 degrees in Toronto. 10 to 12 mile an hour winds blowing in straight in as well. So nice weather there for him. And Toronto just hasn't wowed me really much. I mean, I get it, right? Vladdy, home run derby champion, all that, but they still do. There's some strikeouts to be had in there. Musgrove's been pretty solid, limits hard contact, wind blown in. If I had to go up here in this range, I'd go with him. But I'm with you, Title. Lockstep, arm in arm. I'm going to Bailey Ober. He's my number 1 above 9K for sure. The only 2 guys I really have interest, him and Musgrove up here. Bailey Ober, I like pairing the pitchers in that game. Obviously, one side of that game is going to be the clear, in a way, mega chalk on this slate. I mean, I won't be surprised to see him push Brian Wu, that is, push 60% in some contests, especially higher dollar, smaller entry stuff because of the nature of this pitching slate, right? It's pretty gross. He's just 7,900 against Minnesota. So I do like pairing the pitchers in that game quite a bit. So I'm going Bailey Ober number 1, Joe Musgrove. And then you can make a case. I mean, it's the nature of this slate, right? We can make a case for a ton of these guys. We're going to try and narrow it down for you. So that's where I'm stopping. If I had to grab a third, it would be all the way up at the top, and Eovaldi just upside chasing.
Yeah, I think you meant like you like the Braves in Truist Park. So paying up for Evaldi. Evaldi is playing Tampa Bay, but still an offense I'm not going out of my way to target. And if you look at recently with Evaldi, he's been walking guys more as of late. I don't think it's the craziest play, just the nature of this slate. Like Brian Wu, we're about to get to, well, we're going to get to that range. I'm going to include him in the 8K range, but he is going to be head and shoulders above everyone else. And on this 14-game slate in tournaments, like there's so many other guys. Like, would I be surprised if Lucas Giolito is on the winner today? Absolutely not. Joe Musgrove, absolutely not. Evaldi, like he is still one of the better arms on this slate. He has a pitcher's umpire behind the dish. I leave him in my pool just because of the nature of this slate. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if no one has, for me, a projection above 18 on this slate. Of course, on a 14-game slate, we got 28 pitchers. That someone's probably going to get above 20, but I think bats are mainly going to win the slate over pitching. So how I like to build today, 5-man stack, find your favorite stacks, plug that in, then you get to the pitchers. There's enough cheap bats always to fill out the rest. But yeah, up top, Bailey Ober, definitely my favorite. Musgrove number 2 in that range. Evaldi would be 3. So we're lockstep right there. Tyler Wells, again, I don't think he's the craziest play. Pensac's probably going to play him. I just don't want to pick on these Dodgers. No Edward Cabrera, no Mitch Keller for me today. think Giolito's fine, but again, a Mets team that is pretty scrappy. However, one of the higher K props for Giolito. So I don't think leaving him in the pool is crazy either, but definitely over my favorites. Musgrove, Evaldi up there. We'll get to this bottom range, but first, Tolga's in here, Jetty's in here, Parabai's in here, Aubrey's in here, Bill B, what's going on? Sanders, Screwball, we're about to get to that range right here. Let's go right there. You said Sandoval or Screwball. Let's go 7.5K nades all the way up to 8.7K in this next range. Then we'll include all the punts. Sandoval, I don't think it's the craziest play one bit. Targeting these Yankees have been profitable as of late. He has a big arm. He has a pitcher's umpire behind the dish. Solid K prop, 4.5. Good amount of juice on the over. I'm good with Patrick Sandoval at 7.5. There's Logan Allen, Bryce Elder. No Elder for me. Logan Allen coming back up for the minors. No, thank you. Brian Wu, you definitely have to touch on. Again, I love both pitchers on both sides in Seattle and Minnesota, but you're telling me he's going to be 45%. You're talking single entry, might even come over 50%. I don't know. I don't know if that's what I want to do on a slate like this. Of course, you can always get different elsewhere, but in a vacuum, only guy with the K prop of 6.5, a little juice on the over there. Makes sense on paper. You can always get different, but got to talk game theory on him. Hunter Brown and Coors, no thank you. Jordan Montgomery, I'm fine with against Miami. Tyree Screwball is a big question. That was part of the Screwball or Sandoval. Man, he's been good since coming back, but I don't know what kind of leash he has. However, on a slate like this, like you give me 16, 15, I will gladly move on. I think Bass will win it, like I said. And then Domingo Germán right there at 8.7K. So break down this range, Domingo Germán down to Patrick Sandoval.
Yeah, I'll start right away with my guy Screwball. He's my favorite starting pitcher on this slate. I get it, right? There's concerns with his leash that he's going to have, but I'm seeing 15-plus mile-an-hour winds blowing in Kauffman Stadium. It's not 95 degrees like it has been. It's mid-70s. Like I said, 14, 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from right center. Give me Screwball and his elite K upside, right? We talked about him last slate that he was on, and hey, is his K rate going to drop off? Because it was something absurd after his first start, and his strikeouts were still there in his second start. I think 8,400 is just way too cheap for him, especially against a Kansas City team who, looking at this projected lineup, I haven't seen it confirmed, but 26+% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching at home, wind blowing in. Sign me up for Mr. Screwball and his elite K upside at 12 to 15% ownership. That's just absurd on this slate. Even if he does climb to 20, 25, I don't care, to be honest with you. There's just so many pitchers on this slate. I think ownership does spread outside of, obviously, the one guy in Brian Wu. That's why when we get to him, I'll hit on him next. It's a lot harder for me on a slate like this where pitching is there's so many spots where you can make a case for a lot of these guys to go elsewhere than the clear-cut chalk. Now, if a pitching slate, kind of like yesterday, right, where Logan Gilbert kind of just de facto, I didn't end up actually playing Logan Gilbert in one of my teams just because I wasn't very confident in a lot of these pitchers. Well, tonight's a different story, right? And we've seen, it feels like the last 2 weeks, these clear and away teams that the pitchers that people in the industry are just shoving their chips on, like Brian Wu, have not worked out very good. Now, it is an incredible matchup. I get it, right? His price tag is way too cheap against Minnesota, highest strikeout rate in the league. I mean, this projected lineup, obviously it's a little inflated, but Matt Wallner in there, it definitely inflates a little bit, but 30+% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching on the road this season in a pitcher's park. It's hard to ignore that upside that Brian Wu does present, but I mean, he's definitely a focal point, to be honest with you. Don't go in there and play him with Coors Field and the Astros, especially the cheap Astros bats, and do that. That's just what everyone else is going to do. So I do like Brian Wu quite a bit. It's just he is a talking point because, like we said, Title, there's 15 to 20 guys that you could potentially play on this slate, and if everyone wants to kind of shove their chips in on one of their SP spots in Brian Wu, it's definitely an interesting game theory approach to go elsewhere and see these other guys match them. So I do like Brian Wu. Bryce Elder is interesting. I was kind of looking; he's kind of ate me up a little bit, but I do like the Braves a lot here at home. It is really good hitting weather. He ranks pretty well in our stuff over here. I don't know if I could do it personally. Just the hitting environment, this Arizona team. They have I mean, their entire roster outside of one guy strikes out right around under 20%. So I don't think the upside's there in Bryce Elder, whose strikeouts have fallen off a cliff. So I can't do that. Patrick Sandoval, we just saw what our guy did out there in LA last night to the same Yankees team. Now Yankees are much better against left-handed pitching, especially on the road. Hit for a lot of power on the back. Obviously, Stanton, I talked about that yesterday, right? Stanton against lefties has absolutely smashed. I wouldn't be surprised to see Stanton hit a bomb or two tonight in Angel Stadium. But 7,500, Sandoval has been pretty decent. I don't know if the strikeouts are there because this team, Yankees team against lefties, is just different. Only a 18% K rate on the season against left-handed pitching on the road. So I don't know if I go. I think a lot of people will go back to Sandoval, especially watching what happened to the Yankees last night. But again, it's a lefty versus the Yankees versus the right-handed pitcher that we saw last night. So down here, I mean, Hunter Brown, I think, is interesting in Coors Field. It's the Rockies, man. I will continue to bring it up. I'm not really scared of this team. They have 4 or 5 bats in the lineup that strike out right around 25 to 30%. On the season against right-handed pitching. Hunter Brown, 28% K rate on the season, limits hard contact. The Astros should give him some run support. So I don't think he's the craziest option. Nobody really likes playing pitchers in Coors Field, and we have seen it be on the winner a couple times this season already too. So Hunter Brown's interesting. Jordan Montgomery, both interesting right there at 81, 8,200. Screwball's number 1 for me in this range, and then I'm out on the rest of these guys, I think. So I'll rank this range. Screwball number 1. I'll go Brian Wu just de facto number 2, just because the upside's hard to ignore. And then I'll go Jordan Montgomery 3. And if I had to grab a 4th, it'd be Hunter Brown. So I'm kind of living in that top tier 7 and low 8K range and avoiding the rest of those.
Yeah, I mean, this range, there's definitely a lot of viable pitchers, no doubt about it. Jake's talking about viable pitchers in the lower range too that we're going to get to, but the Brian Wu thing is the biggest talking point. Like, you look at this Twins lineup, it is awful. Landa's talking about it in chat. Besides Max Kepler, who has been hot a little bit, lefties get to Wu a little more. This lineup, they did roll out a good amount of lefties, but I mean, some of these lefties, like Matt Wallner's in there, Joey Gallo, it's either a dong or a free K. I mean, Willie Castro in the 6th hole. I mean, this lineup is just Kirilloff. Yeah, some pop too, but there's so many strikeouts in this lineup. The thing is what's his ownership going to be, do we think? Do we think people are going to all say, man, he's going to be 60%, let's get different elsewhere, and if everyone keeps talking the same thing, he just gets lower owned a little bit? Again, he's not going to be low owned by any means, but lower than the projected ownership across the industry. Or are people just going to say, screw it? Some people will play 150 or whatever, hit the lock button on Wu, and then figure out the rest of the spots, and his ownership just creeps up. So what are your thoughts in that? I assume most people aren't probably playing the 150 max big tournament they put out there. So what are your thoughts on like single entry, 3 entry max, those type of contests that Wu's going to come in at?
Yeah, I mean, I think his ownership even climbs, to be honest with you. We've seen this a couple of times throughout the season, actually a lot of times throughout the season, where we do the show obviously an hour before the hour up to lock, and the more content gets released, the more shows. Obviously, there's multiple shows across the industry from now until lock, and everyone's going to have the same points. But I think it's just a nature of the pitching slate and Minnesota, and I think people are just going to, if he was 8,900 or like 9,000 something, I think it'd be different. But at 7,900, I mean, in a range where you got like guys like Bryce Elder, Logan Allen, Sandoval, Taj Bradley, guys like that people don't want to play already, I think that's why his ownership's just going to climb even more. It's definitely a talking point. I play 3 teams, so I will have him on one team and probably fade him on my main team and my other team, to be honest with you. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but there's probably a lot of 3 max players in here. That's why I like playing 3 teams. Even if 2 teams, I'll probably play him. If I only do end up playing 2 teams, I'll play him on one team, fade him on the other, kind of be in line with the field, give or take, and just kind of take my chances. But that's how I would approach it. In MME, I would either go like 75, 80%, or I would go like 10 to 15%, 20% max, and just kind of go way over or way underweight, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Again, there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to this stuff. It's like something how I would make a rule. If I'm playing Brian Wu, I'm not playing 5 Astros. I think the Astros are the clear chalk team. I think Wu's a clear chalk pitcher. Playing them together, of course, you can still build a fine lineup. You can play a 4% owned SP2. There's plenty of viable options there. You can play a very low owned 3-man stack. You can do it that way, but eliminating the most popular offense and the most popular pitcher, grouping them away from each other, I think makes more sense. If I had to pick on this slate, I think I like Brian Wu more than I like the Astros. There's so many other spots. I mean, we'll talk about the Braves. Zach Davies, someone I like picking on. This Braves offense is very interesting to me. So I think I like Wu more than the Astros if we're talking chalk on both hitting and pitching. But there's so many viable options, no doubt about it. But yeah, the big thing like Landon's talking about, what I look at a lot in DFS, pitching environment, pitcher's park, and weather. And man, in Seattle, that's why we loved it yesterday. Didn't necessarily work out with Gilbert and Sonny Gray, but I'm good going right back to the well in Seattle. A lot of these places, it's 80 degrees, 90 degrees in some of these parks. Seattle, one of the best pitching spots. So yeah, I'm definitely in on Wu, but just if you play him, understand how to play him, or don't just jam all the chalk. Got to get different in some other spots. But that is that range, 7.5K to 8.7. I gave my thoughts earlier. You love Screwball in that range. Definitely like it. I think Montgomery's a little interesting. I like him more than Hunter Brown. You mentioned him. Bryce Elder just doesn't have the K for 3.5K prop. Like, no, thank you. On a little more upside than that. No thanks to Logan Allen. Sandoval, I'm good with at 7.5K. Let's go all the way down. 7.3K, Taj Bradley. The rest of the range. Jake's talking about playing Bradley and Alek Manoah. Definitely interesting talking about Manoah. He was one of the worst pitchers in baseball early on the year. Stacking against him was a printer. Comes back after his minor league, Cactus League stint. I don't even know if he got sent to triple minors. I think it was Cactus League or something. He 6 innings, 8 Ks, 28 DK points. It was against the Tigers. Now he gets a San Diego team where the bottom of the order, it's not too scary to me. Pitcher's umpire behind the dish too. The big question, did he figure something out, or is that a fluke performance and we're going to get the old Alek Manoah? I think on a slate like this, I think stacking against him totally makes sense. I think if you want to play him at 7-1, you could do worse. Taj Bradley has some strikeout upside for sure. Highest strikeout prop. Him and Cookie Carrasco in this range down below, but don't love picking on the Rangers. Doesn't also have the longest leash. So interested to see what you're going to say about Taj Bradley. See, Tyon might get a little ownership. I don't want to pick on this Washington team. Cookie Carrasco down here, I think, gets the most ownership by far, though. 6.2K, gets a good matchup against the White Sox. Right-handed pitching against the White Sox is something that I like. 6.2K is pretty much free on a slate where I love some expensive bats. And he's another guy. He was bad earlier in the year, and he's turned it on a little bit as of late, especially his last performance before the All-Star break. 8 scoreless, 27 DK points. I don't know. I just think he might be like the steam. Like if people go cheap, people want to spend up, people just might go Cookie Carrasco in that range. And if it's Cookie at 20%, man, I don't want to really play a Cookie at 20% is how I see it. But what's your thoughts? Taj Bradley all the way down.
Yeah, I think my favorite in this range is actually going to be Taj Bradley. And the reason I say that is I get it, right? Texas is a scary team, but I want guys with K upside down here. And you look at Taj Bradley, nearly a 30% K rate on the season. He doesn't pitch deep. I get it, right? But, 29.7% K rate, averages right around 4.5, 5 innings pitched. If he can go out there and get me 15 to 20 DraftKings points at 7,300 with his strikeout upside, I think that's a fine play. I don't love it. Alek Manoah, I'm going to take the wait and see approach. Prove it with a team outside of Detroit Tigers. And then I'll believe that you're back. I wouldn't fault anyone for stacking up these Padres. You look at the Padres team on paper, and they should be one of the best teams in baseball, and they just haven't been. But you still got Juan Soto in there. Tatis is back. Manny Machado, Xander's in there. Cronenworth, Hadal, and Kim leading off. There's still enough bats in this lineup that can have upside against Manoah. So I'm taking a wait to see approach on him. If you want to play him at 7,100, sure. I'm seeing no ownership on him at all. Cookie Carrasco is interesting because I'm seeing 15 to 20% ownership on him right now. I get it, right? Looking at this confirmed White Sox lineup, man, they outside of the leadoff batter in Benintendi, everyone else strikes out in this entire lineup over 25% clip against right-handed pitching. That's hard for me to ignore at 6,200, even if he is 15 to 20% ownership, especially after his last performance. I think we might see a little bit of a pitcher's duel in this one with the White Sox with Giolito being on the hill too for the Mets. It's hard for me to ignore that upside. I'm seeing a pretty healthy projection on him too at 6,200. I mean, he's got the second highest projection in this range that I'm looking from what I'm seeing outside of Chris Murphy. I can't do Chris Murphy. I'm not doing that. I'm not picking on Oakland. So I'm passing on that. So, I mean, these cheap guys, he's got the best projection by far. I do think he gets steamed closer to lock as more people are building lineups. I mean, the Astros have some expensive bats, but I think the Braves are going to get a little bit of ownership, and you try and stack those big dogs, and they're expensive. I mean, all of them are over 5K. The bats that you want to play, and you need salary somewhere. So Carrasco, I think, is my favorite, probably down here in this range behind Taj Bradley. And the Taj Bradley play is just straight chasing upside with his strikeout rate. I don't love picking on Texas, but again, if I had to pick someone down here, it'd be him or Cookie down there.
Yeah, man, I think Cookie does get steam. I probably would also, another rule in tournaments, just group out Wu and Carrasco together. Again, if you can play those two, play lower owned offenses, and still build good lineups that way. However, there's so many other viable options to go. Two of the chalkier pitchers on the slate. I do think Carlos Carrasco comes in as one of the highest owned pitchers because Astros in Coors Field, the Braves we keep talking about, there's expensive bats that are in very good spots that people want to pay for. Carrasco is one of the higher K props on the slate, and he's one of the cheapest guys on the slate. And Wu at 7.9K, like he could be 9.9K, and we like him just as much. He's just 2K underpriced right there. So yeah, I think grouping Wu and Carrasco out makes some sense. I like go up like right there in the Patrick Sandoval range. You like Taj Bradley right there. People are talking about Manoah. I prefer, to be honest, the San Diego side and thinking Alek Manoah is the old Alek Manoah and he hasn't really changed that much rather than playing him. But it does make sense to me. But the point is there's so many options. Jordan Montgomery, you like Scoopball. A lot of those guys are going to be a third of the ownership is Wu. Half the ownership is Carrasco, something like that. And it gets you on a little different path. Of course, Carrasco 6'2", and Patrick Sandoval 7'5", $1,300 difference, but it does get you on a little different roster construction. So yeah, Cookie 20% gross. That's kind of what I'm saying. But cash games, he definitely is viable. And again, tournaments, if you want to go a Cookie Evaldi or something like that, a Musgrove Carrasco, like that's totally a viable pairing as well. You're skipping out on the Wu most popular play, and you're just going all the way up, all the way down. Could definitely play him. I prefer Wu, even though he will be 2-3 times higher owned than Carrasco. He's just, I mean, he's shown a lot more proven this year. Carrasco was someone we were picking on not too long ago. That's all 14 games talking pitching, Nades. Let's wrap it up and give our favorite rankings. Let's say you can't say Brian Wu. Obviously, we love him. He is our favorite pitcher, but game theory wise, you have to think about it. But outside of Brian Wu, give me your top four.
Yeah, I'm going Tarek Skubal number 1, Bailey Ober number 2. I will go Taj Bradley number 3, and then I will go. Give me Cookie Carrasco is the number 4 guy. I don't love it, but it's hard looking at the White Sox on the road. Their numbers. I mean, you got 8 bats striking out close to 30% or more. It's hard to ignore that.
I'm gonna go Bailey Ober 1, Joe Musgrove 2. I'm gonna say Jordan Montgomery 3, right in that range, and then I will say I like Evaldi at 10-3. I like Evaldi. I like Skubal. I like those guys in that range. So Ober, Musgrove, Montgomery, and then Skubal, Evaldi is my favorite 5 right there. So I said 5, even though I broke my own rule saying 4. So 4A, 4B. Right there. Cookie 9% right now. I think that is definitely wrong, Marty. But again, that's the thing. Like some sites will have 9, some will have 15, some will. Once you play every single day and you see how roster construction is, you see hitting, you see all that. I just think 9 is wrong at the end of the day. But hey, if you have him at 9%, I would say he's a very good play. So that's where ownership and our thoughts. I mean, who knows at the end of the day. What people are going to come in at. If you think he's 9%, I would definitely say I like him a lot then. But we have Cookie at 14%. Yeah, I think that is more right? And I wouldn't be surprised to see him just get steamed a little more. But 14, I think is about right. I think he'll be somewhere around the 20 range, high teens there. But that's all 14. Our 14 game slate. That's the pitching for it. Hey, you like any of these guys pretty much. If you like Lucas Giolito, play Lucas Giolito. You like Domingo Germán, play Domingo Germán. You can make a case for a lot of these guys. I don't think it's crazy one bit. Talking bats, though, before we do, again, we appreciate that like button, appreciate the subscribe button. And if you want Hoop Slate Plan, Nades, DK Cores, G Ryzen, Hamwich's thoughts on the slate, you play cash games, you want my core plays, got to sign up for SHIPITNation.com. Projections as well. You need projections. We got them. Hitter rankings, stack rankings, pitcher rankings. On slates like this that are so wide open with many ways to go, looking at those rankings can be very good. And yesterday, Guardians were up there. The Rays were up there. Stack rankings were very good yesterday if you did follow them. So SHIPITNation.com, $59 a month, $599 a year. And do get in the Discord if you do join. Game by game, Nades, buckle in. We got a long one. First game of the slate, Los Angeles Dodgers, Baltimore Orioles, Michael Grove, Tyler Wells on the mound. 9.5 total, 90 degrees in Camden. We loved this game yesterday. Orioles got there. If you played Chris Taylor, you weren't complaining about having the Dodgers stack, but if you didn't have him, you probably didn't want the 5-man as much. Two respectable pitchers. I mean, Michael Grove, who knows how long he's going to go. Probably 4 or 5, something like that. Then the bullpen behind him. I don't know. I think going back to the Orioles is fine. I think they're going to be – this game, I think both sides is going to be pretty low owned. I like both lineups. There are some cheap parts at the bottom of the order in both of them. Great hitting weather. This is the one of you play a Brian Wu or something like that, even a Wu Carrasco, then you can stack one of these Dodgers or Orioles teams. I think that would be a pretty fine lineup. Other spots are like more in a vacuum, but good hitting weather, good lineups. I got some interest. What about you?
Yeah, my guy Pensac's going to enjoy it because I do have some interest. I'm seeing both these teams sub 5% total stack ownership. And I just pulled up current season and last season numbers on Michael Grove. And historically, K rate right around 17 to 20% for both sides of the plate, 19.6. And he gives up a ton of hard contact, a ton of power to lefties. And if you look at this lineup for the Baltimore Orioles, they have 7. I'm counting 7. Obviously, 3 of those guys are switch hitters, but I'm counting 7 lefties in 90-degree weather with the wind blowing out. Slight wind, not a ton of wind. I do like these Orioles. Gunnar Henderson, I mean, the dude is kind of turning into a DFS cheat code. Third base, shortstop eligible, 4,700. Will steal bases, can hit bombs. Adley Rutschman obviously is a nice spend-up catcher. I do love Sean Murphy tonight, but, I mean, it's hard to ignore with Adley there. Santander is starting to come around, hitting third tonight. I like him. Ryan O'Hearn's in the lineup. Don't mind him. Adam Frazier is actually having a pretty solid season overall, 3,300 in the 8-hole. He'll go under owned. So I do like these Orioles more tonight than I do the Dodgers. But it's hard to still ignore these Dodgers. Tyler Wells does have some strikeout upside. But he does get barreled, kind of like what we saw last night, right? He 11.5% barrel rate on the season, and you start getting barreled in Camden Yards, guaranteed ninth inning at bats by some of these Dodgers bats, guys like Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, JD Martinez. The ball can leave the yard at any given time. Freddie Freeman's locked in the plate. He's probably my favorite at just 5,800. Nice little pivot off of Matt Olson up there at first base with just as much, if not more, upside. So I do like the Dodgers. I much prefer the Braves at very similar price points, though. But, I mean, the Dodgers, anytime they're sub 5%, 2-3% ownership, it's hard to ignore, especially when they're guaranteed 9-inning at-bats in good hitting conditions. So like both sides, definitely prefer the Orioles and preferably the lefties from the Orioles for me.
Yeah, you and I see it pretty similar on this one. Both teams aren't going to get as much ownership. The Dodgers, with this lineup, like people are going to pay up for the Astros, are going to pay up for the Braves before they're going to click the Astros. Like I said, a Brian Wu team, even if you want to do a Wu Carrasco, if those are your 2 favorite pitchers, going to a Dodgers team, you'll have the money. People are going to spend out like Freddie. No one's playing Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy, like these JD Martinez. These guys are just going to get squeezed with others grading out people in better spots and better teams with higher totals. So, yeah, I do prefer the Orioles in a vacuum, though. Yeah, 1 through 3 definitely on fire. We talked about it yesterday though. Cowser down there, Frazier. You can play any of these guys. 1 through 9 on both teams, I think, are in play. Great hitting weather in Camden. Keeping it rolling. Next game on the slate: Cleveland Guardians, Pittsburgh Pirates. Logan Allen, Mitch Keller on the mound. 80 degrees in Pittsburgh. I mean, man, these Guardians got it done yesterday. We definitely jinxed them, saying, oh, if they beat us on a 10-game slate, they don't have power. Next thing you know, you see a lot of Jimenez, Naylor, J-Ram gets there. I respect Mitch Keller enough on this slate where, hey, if they beat me again, they beat me again. Decent hitting weather, though. As far as the Pirate side, I mean, I don't know. Logan Allen, he got called down to the minors. He was doing okay. He wasn't doing great. Had some spot starts. He has some upside. He can get hit around, but kind of going to say the same thing as I said about the Guardians. Like, this lineup, I'm definitely not playing the bottom of the order of this Pittsburgh team. Reynolds, McCutcheon, like, man, if the Pirates beat me on this 14-game slate, they beat me is how I kind of see it. So not much interest in this game. I guess Josh Naylor would be the one bet. He has been swinging the hot stick for sure, 3.9K. What you got?
Yeah, no thanks. We do have to toot our own horn a little bit here, Tito, and we went against our proprietary ranking system over here, that the metrics and projections and everything, because Cleveland was the number one stack of the day in terms of our stack rankings over here at ShipItNation.com. I didn't do it. I didn't listen to it, but a lot of the members that did post winning screenshot, and there was quite a bit of them, definitely had Cleveland. So they definitely trusted the projections and our tools and content that we have over here. So that's just another benefit, $59 a month. Absolutely incredible value, especially with the major this week for golf. Obviously massive prize pools for that. Our guy Titletown and Marley continue to print in MMA Street. So $59 a month definitely is incredible value there. But Cleveland and Pittsburgh tonight for me, I'm not going back. The only guy I would look at is Bo Naylor down there in the 9-hole at the catcher position. Does have a little power. 2,600, nice value play. Realistically, that's what you're looking for at the catcher position is home runs, right? He can definitely hit some home runs, right around 200 expected ISO on the season. Gets right-handed pitching on the road, so I think 2,600, he's fine, but not a ton of interest in bats in this one on a 14-game slate.
Yeah, I will say for the people that aren't a member out there, Guardians aren't up top today. They're not in the top 5. They're about halfway, a little top half. But at the projected ownership, like our stack rankings, if you use it at our projected ownership, it looks like they are a better bet, that they'll be on the optimal more than their ownership will say. So Pirates do not grade out well, though. So a little freebie there in our stack rankings in that one. But yeah, not much interest for me. Guardians, Pirates, so many games on this slate. Got to cross some off. Next game, San Diego Padres, Toronto Blue Jays, Joe Musgrove, Alek Manoah on the mound. Yeah, this is what we were talking about earlier with Alek Manoah. Well, first of all, I like Joe Musgrove. No Blue Jays for me. If they beat me, they beat me. As far as Manoah, though, absolutely was getting shelled, gets brought down, comes back up, pitches a gem. It was the Tigers. However, the Tigers, they're not as bad as they have been the past couple of years for sure. But I'm more betting that Manoah didn't figure everything out. This Padres team, again, the bottom half of the order I don't love as much. They are pretty cheap, but this top half of the order, and again, like Juan Soto, 5.4, Tatis, 6.1K. They might get some ownership, but people are going to want to click Acuna. They're going to click Bregman at third base, other spots. I like San Diego Padres, the top half of the order specifically, but if you want like a Gary Sanchez to fill out catcher position, Carpenter, first base, third base, eligible, pretty much free down there. I'm betting more on the Padres than I am Manoah. That Manoah didn't figure it out. Guaranteed ninth inning at bats. Yeah, I think these Padres are pretty interesting. One of my favorite stacks there. What do you got?
Yeah, not the greatest hitting weather, but again, it is a fairly hitters-friendly ballpark. Obviously, they did bring the fences in this year. It hasn't done a ton of runs, but it is still Toronto that plays majority of their games at home in that park, obviously, and they haven't been absolutely lighting the scoreboard up, to say the least, this year. So I do like the Padres here, and checking our stack rankings, the Padres do check in pretty good on this slate, and I'm not seeing a ton of ownership going to them. Looking at their projected ownership, I mean, I'm seeing 5 to 6%, which is pretty much the consensus on a majority of these teams. Even the Braves aren't coming with a ton of ownership at their price tags. I mean, really the only ownership in terms of bats is, again, Houston, obviously being in Coors Field there. So give me these Padres. It's more of a full stack for me. just betting against Manoah, just being the Manoah that we stacked and printed against all season long until he miraculously came back and was freaking Cy Young out there against the Tigers. It's a little different test here when you're facing guys like Tatis, Juan Soto, Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Jake Cronenworth. I mean, even Gary Sanchez has been having a good season. He's much better against lefties, but still, he's in there. Matt Carpenter, the dude must be hitting the sauce again. He's 2,300. Gets you a nice home run there at first base, third base. Obviously, you got to play him over Manny Machado if you play him at third, but throw him in your first base spot. 2,300 does have some power. So 1 through 9 for me. Our guy Trent Grisham, ex-Brewer there in the 9 hole. You can always play him. So Padres for me, full stack. No interest in these Blue Jays. I do like Joe Musgrove on the slate.
Love it. Lockstep right there. And that one, keeping it rolling again. A lot of games to talk about, 14. We do appreciate that like button, that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. San Francisco Giants, Cincinnati Reds, Anthony DeSclafani, Luke Weaver on the mound. 80 degrees, Great American Small Park, 11 total. Luke Weaver is cheeks. Anthony DeSclafani, cheeks against lefties, much better against righties. But some of our favorite bats on these Reds. Ellie De La Cruz, very expensive. Only third base eligible now, but that's a lefty. Friedel lefty. Jake Fraley lefty. Joey Votto we talked about yesterday. There's no confirmed lineup, at least not that I'm seeing right now, but I'm expecting multiple lefties to be in this lineup. Give me any lefties against Desclafani here. And as far as the Giants, I think you can play him 1 through 9. Luke Weaver, no good at all. Definitely do prefer the lefties against him. Sign me up for this game, though, man. 11 total. Great hitting weather, great hitting park. Both sides of this game, going right back to it. What about you?
Yeah, Giants were hurtful. Obviously, that game got suspended, but it didn't matter if you did have a 5-man stack like I did in the Giants, even though I did have Wilmer Flores and those guys in there. I mean, Flores was pretty chalky, but that's that. I mean, he was way too cheap against a lefty, historically a lefty masher in there. The game got suspended. The game was flying. Everyone was scared about the weather, and it was a pitcher's duel in the hitter's park. I think that changes in a big way here tonight. Going right back to the well with these Giants, I like them quite a bit. They are going to come in with some ownership, but again, outside of Astros and Brian Wu, I mean, ownership really doesn't matter too much on this slate. So I like the Giants, guaranteed 9th inning at bats. There is some pinch hit concerns, obviously, with these guys, but they're going to load their lineup with lefties. I haven't looked at the Cincinnati bullpen in terms of bullpen usage, but I'm assuming they're going to bring in a lefty out of the pen right after Luke Weaver exits the game, hopefully pretty early. So definitely some pinch hit concerns, but 1 through 9, definitely in play for me. Yastrzemski, Conforto, Jock Pederson, Jock Jams in there in the 2-hole probably. Lamonte Wade has been great all season long. 1 through 9, love those guys. On the Red side, yeah, I mean, you can definitely play the Reds. Desclafani doesn't strike out anyone really under 20% on the season. Right a little bit above league average in terms of barrel rate. And you start barreling the rate up in the small park in Cincinnati, hot and humid weather. I like both sides. Definitely prefer the Giants just with the extra at-bats. And I think I'm a little bit more of a believer in Desclafani than Luke Weaver. So that's why I side a little bit more with the Giants. But both sides, I like both sides. Obviously, Matt McClain hit a bomb last night, I'm pretty sure. Jonathan India has been swinging a good stick. Joey Votto. So I prefer the top half of this lineup more than guys like Encarnacion and Luke Maile in there. Will Benson's a cheap guy with power in there if you need one at the outfield, 2,700. But yeah, definitely prefer the Giants. Both sides make viable sense here for stacks, though.
Yeah, if I had to pick a side, I would pick the Giants, but I do think they will be a little higher owned. But as far as the Reds, Encarnacion free at mid price 2K. I'll never say no to that. Will Benson a lefty. Again, we don't have a lineup out yet. That's projected lineup. But yeah, both sides of this game didn't work out yesterday. I think game stacking, going right back to it, makes a lot of sense. Again, good hitting weather, good hitting park. Sign me up for that one, 11 total. Keeping it rolling, Chicago White Sox, New York Mets, Lucas Giolito, Carlos Carrasco on the mound, 80 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit in New York. People were talking about the White Sox, that they're going to blow up Cookie. I don't think it's the craziest thing if you want to play the White Sox. More get a little leverage off of Carrasco. However, on a 14-game slate, it's he might be 20%, might be 15%. I don't think you're getting all the leverage in the world. I don't really have much interest in this game, though. I respect Giolito enough. I respect Carrasco enough, I guess, in this matchup at least. There's just other worse pitchers I'd rather target. So 14-game slate, X off for me, but I don't think you're crazy for playing either side. What do you got?
Yeah, just maybe one off. Brandon Nemo, Luis Robert, but really I'm not stacking either one of these. Even mini stacks I don't really like, but one off. Luis Robert has been pretty locked in. He's cooled down a little bit, but is still Luis Robert. Can absolutely launch the ball. Brandon Nemo is starting to come along a little bit. 4,200 bat and leadoff. Good numbers against right-hand pitching at home. Solid, decent hitting weather too, which is definitely a plus that I look for in terms of one-offs. Obviously, you can always play Polar Bear, Pete Alonso there. But yeah, not a ton of interest. One-offs only for me, not stacking either side.
Keeping it rolling. Nate and I pretty lockstep on this slate. You do love to see that. Arizona Diamondbacks, Atlanta Braves, Zach Davies, Bryce Elder on the mound, 90 degrees in Atlanta. Balls will be flying. Zach Davies, sign me up picking on him. He's much worse against lefties than righties, but you can play this lineup 1 through 9. Like Sam Hilliard, 2.3K, he's free. Orlando Arcia, he's going to be the lowest owned guy in the stack, fills out a shortstop position. Again, littered through this lineup, just complete studs. Matt Olson, he's home run right there is what I'm seeing. Screams, great matchup, profiles very well against Davies. I do think the Diamondbacks are a little interesting, though. I'm seeing no ownership on them. Bryce Elder doesn't strike out anyone. Guaranteed ninth inning at bat. Balls will be flying. You need a low-owned stack if you're going Woo and the Braves and you need a low-owned secondary stack, something like that. I like coming to some of these D-backs. Top of the order, some expensive bats. Bottom of the order has some salary relief. I like the Braves, no doubt. They are my favorite stack on the slate. I like them more than the Astros, even in Coors Field. But these D-backs, don't ignore them as well. I like the game stack. Prefer the 3-man stack. Don't think the 5's crazy, though. But definitely prefer a mini stack more than 5-man. What you got?
Yeah, load your team with 9 of these Braves. Play all 9 batters if you can. Contact your DK rep, get the cheat code, because these Braves are going nuclear tonight. And I'm not seeing a ton of ownership. And that's because if you look at the price point, the guys that I want to play, Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna, Matt Olson, Sean Murphy, Michael Harris. I mean, all those guys are expensive. You can throw Austin Riley in there, absolutely. Marcell Ozuna. Arcia and Hilliard, I don't have a ton of interest in, but for all the BVP guys out there, Hilliard does have a bomb against old Zach Davies in his limited sample size. Got to always throw that little nugget in there. So he's free at the bottom of the order. Historically, the bottom of the order just always goes lower owned. People sometimes even make rules in their optimizers, right, where they uncheck 8, 9 hitters, stuff like that. So just naturally, those guys are lower owned. On the D-back side, give me Mr. Alec Thomas in the 9 hole. I think he could hit a bomb here tonight off of Bryce Elder. Good numbers. Historically, hits right-handed pitching well. I don't care that he's hit 9th. He's 2,800 at the outfield position. Nice little value play there. Last time I talked about him, he did hit a bomb against our Brewers in Milwaukee there. So I like Alex Thomas a little bit down there at the cheap. Corbin Carroll continues to make a clinic for being one of the best studs to come up. Prospect wise, I mean, the dude's absolutely putting on a clinic, all-star in his rookie season here. Corbin Carroll, he is expensive, will have no ownership at the outfield position. And again, we talked about it. Bryce Elder, just his strikeouts have fallen off a cliff. It's good hitting weather, guaranteed 9th inning at bat. So I'm kind of in lockstep here, but yeah, Braves far and away, not even close on this slate in terms of my favorite stack.
Yeah, sign me up for this game stack as well, man. And I think the projected ownership might be a little low in some spots across the industry on the Braves. I think they get some steam. There's enough cheap options at pitching, but I don't think the D-backs really get played, and definitely sign me up for them. At Harris up to the batting 7th, Andrew Martinez said, yup. And Butto Jenkins, yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Whatever happened to Aquino? I have no clue. If someone does know, drop it in chat. But, man, that dude fell off a cliff after having a 2-week where he was just an absolute hero. Massive power. But, yeah, I really don't know what happened to him. That's a good question. Keeping it rolling, next game on the slate, Miami Marlins, St. Louis Cardinals, Edward Cabrera, Jordan Montgomery, 80 degrees. We have an 8 total. I like Jordan Montgomery, so no Marlins for me. However, some of that power we talked about yesterday, Jesus Sanchez, I think De La Cruz got one as well yesterday. Some of that power came through. I don't like him today, though, against Montgomery. Cardinals, yeah, I mean, I like some other teams, no doubt about it. So it's an XL for me. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not going to play the Marlins here. I just never play the old school baseball, manufacturer runs, little league style baseball on large slates for the Marlins. I just can't do it. Jorge Soler, maybe he just historically always smashes lefties. I do like Montgomery on the slate, but won't be surprised to see Mr. Solar Power take one deep in St. Louis off of the lefty here in Montgomery. Cardinals, I think you can always play some of these Cardinals guys, Nolan Gorman, Goldschmidt, Arenado. Brendan Donovan continues to be cheap batting leadoff. He's having a good year, starting to turn it around, coming around a little bit here too, but not a ton of interest in either one of these. I just think there's better spots. Edward Cabrera is a decent pitcher overall. I like Montgomery, so more stay away spot for me.
Appreciate it. We got some new faces. I got to ask some random questions to see Damien in here. What's up, Damien? He's playing in Japan, and that's what Mr. Then said as well. And he got cut over there too. Man, what a fall off for Aquino. That is crazy. A name I haven't heard in a while, but I was thinking about him not too long ago. Because
we were playing that dude for like 2 weeks straight, and he was just literally a cheat code. He was free, and he was just hitting bombs every single game. He came preloaded in my DraftKings lineup like for 3 weeks straight when he was going nuts. And then the dude literally just the fall off the train driving off the cliff gif in Discord is what happened to him. But hopefully he figures something out, right? Because definitely baseball, something happened there.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows how hard baseball is, man. I mean, you can go through cold stretches if you aren't one of those top guys. If you're on the border, you struggle for a bit, go to the minors, you can't get things figured out. I mean, baseball is a crazy game. You play at DFS, you succeed 3 out of 10 times, you're a Hall of Famer. It's unlike a lot of other sports. So not surprised to see that, but yeah, absolutely crazy. King of Smack in here early now. He's not going to yell at me today. What's going on, King? Next game on the slate. King, you got in here. We do appreciate like button right away. Anyone that came in here, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We do appreciate it a ton. Helps us out. Giving free shows on the channel. Quick hits, Rise and Drop. Quick hits video almost every single day. Hamwish drops it on Saturdays, on the weekends too. Something on this channel is up every single day pretty much. So we appreciate that. Subscribe button helps you get notified whenever we go live. Keeping it rolling, Nades. Big boy slate. Still plenty to talk about. Washington Nationals, Chicago Cubs, Patrick Corbin, Jamison Tyon on the mound. I'm not playing yet any Nats. I respect Tyon enough. Not good hitting weather in this game as well. 70 degrees, wind blowing in a bit. You want to play CJ Abrams, go ahead. I think you'll talk about him. As far as the Cubs, though, I don't care what weather it is. It's Patrick Corbin. I don't think the Cubs get at too much ownership. Give me the Cubs, man. I'll keep picking against Patrick Corbin. I've done it for years. Now on this huge slate, other spots seem more intriguing, higher totals. I'll pick on Patrick Corbin. If the weather is blowing out, if the wind was blowing out, not weather blowing out, you know what I meant. If the wind was blowing out or it was 85 degrees or something, the Cubs would probably have a 6 total, be one of the chalkiest teams on the slate. So sign me up for these Cubs against Corbin. No Nats for me. What about you?
Yeah, the only Nats I like, Candelario hit a bomb last night. I think you can go back to him, but I'm going right back to the 9-1 stack. Made me some money last night. I like CJ Abrams. I mean, you look at his game log, and the dude looks like peak Ronald Acuna right now. He's 3,100. DraftKings said, okay, you've put up 20 DraftKings points like your last 2 weeks consistently every game. We're going to raise your price tag $200. Hopefully people don't play you still. I don't care. I'm going right back to him. Alex Call as well, 2,300, 9-hole. Got on base yesterday. We'll steal bases. I love that, especially from a cheap guy. So a little 9-1 mini stack for the Nats for me. Going right back to the well with those two guys. Like them quite a bit. On the Cubs side, yeah, I'm with you. I do like the Cubs as a contrarian lower owned stack here. We know the drill. Patrick Corbin, I mean, the dude is just absolutely trash. You can steal bases on him too. I mean, you got Keibert Ruiz who hit a bomb last night, but I mean, I think these Cubs are going to get to Corbin a little bit. Patrick Wisdom hit a bomb, if I'm not mistaken, last night. I'm pretty sure I saw his name come across with a home run. He's batting ninth tonight. 308 expected ISO against left-handed pitching. Nobody's going to play him in the 9-hole at 3,400, third base. I think he's an excellent play. Miguel Amaya there at the catcher. You can do a little 8-9 stack, a little wraparound there. Christopher Morel, Yan Gomes. I mean, Cody Bellinger continues to be one of the best hitters in baseball. Sign me up for some of these Cubs. I wish it was better hitting weather, but if it was better hitting weather with a wind game in Wrigley, everyone would flock here outside of Coors Field. So I think you're getting discounted ownership in a very attackable spot against Corbin.
Absolutely. And I'll go right back to Cody Bellinger. I don't care. Lefty. Put up 13 yesterday. Dude's absolutely on fire. Do like your wisdom call too. All the pop in the world down in the 9-hole. I mean, he was batting ninth and he was 5K at some points this year. But third base, there's Machado, there's Bregman. Third base, absolutely loaded. J-Ram in there. People aren't going to play Patrick Wisdom for sure. So, yeah, sign me up for the Cubs. It's a bet against Corbin. Myron talked about Corbin a little bit being sneaky. Hey, if you're on the Corbin side, again, on a slate like this at pitching, Corbin gets you 13. He could be on the winner. So you want to play 1% Corbin, good luck to you. I hope you're wrong because I like the Cubs side more. But, hey, not the craziest thing on this slate. A lot of pitchers viable. Keeping it rolling, Tampa Bay Rays, Texas Rangers, Taj Bradley, Nathan Eovaldi on the mound, 8.5 total. Roof's going to be closed. Taj Bradley, I respect enough. Nathan Eovaldi, I respect enough. Two good offenses, but, yeah, I mean, I respect the pitchers enough on this slate. It gets the X for me. Nothing I got. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about this game, but what I'm going to talk about in replace of this game is there's 250, 240 people watching in here, only 92 likes. Let's get that to 130 likes here. We'll give away our top 2 ranked pitchers, top 3 ranked hitters, give you a little bonus in there for the people. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're at 2,100 subscribers. Let's make a push to 3K before NFL season. It's going to be a little tough, but we appreciate it. Incredible free content, including our guys Hoop and Tambo about to go live for the freemium show for the major today. Give you guys all the winners. They're also picking a couple winners if they haven't already. I'm pretty sure they're picking a couple winners for annual giveaway for getting us to 2,000 subscribers. So let's keep the momentum rolling there. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. 130 likes will get you those top ranked plays. Let's move on. Title.
Love it. There you go. Nate's giving out some freebies for the people. Torrin found all the stats. Aquino, 211. Oh, we know that. He plays for the Chunchi Dragons and is batting 197 this season. There we go. Appreciate that, Torrin. Great work there. Butthole Jenkins, yeah, Bellinger, BVP, good versus lefties. Yeah, he can hit lefties. I mean, he's seeing the ball so well, like we talked about yesterday. Sign me up for Cody Bellinger. Keeping it rolling. Next game, Detroit Tigers, Kansas City Royals, Tyree Skubal, Daniel Lynch on the mound, 80 degrees, wind blowing in a little bit in KC. We like Skubal, definitely not getting any of these Royals. As far as the Tigers, I don't know. They're going to be low owned, 4.7 total, not the worst. Guaranteed 9th inning at bat. Plenty of cheap options throughout this order, no one above 4.4K. I think I definitely like it more as a mini stack. Like if I have Eovaldi, Brian Wu, and I'm stacking maybe a little more popular team, like a 3-man Tiger stack who's going to be cheap, who's low owned. I think that's how I'd play them. I do not like the 5-man as much, but I'd keep them in my player pool. What about you?
Yeah, I think they're fine as a mini stack. I'm just looking at Daniel Lynch's numbers here. I mean, historically, very low strikeout rate guy, right? I'm just looking at his power, kind of limits power in terms of ISO. Doesn't give up a ton of fly balls, so I don't love it. But Jake Rogers smashes lefties. Spencer Torkelson crushes lefties. Kerry Carpenter, even lefty in his samples this year, has done good. Zach Short has good numbers against lefties. So there's some cheap guys in there to fill out a mini stack. Definitely prefer the Torkelson, Carpenter, Jake Rogers in there in the middle. And then Zach Short at a pretty weak second base position, I think makes some sense. He has some power, but don't love it. I'm not playing any Royals. I do like Skubal. Even in his limited pitches, I mean, I'm hoping to get 70, 75 pitches. He threw 63, I think, last game, but did get hit around a little bit. Still scored 16 DraftKings points right around there because of his K upside. I think if he's cruising here, he can get us 5-6 innings, 8-9 strikeouts against this Royals team. So off the Royals, Tigers, fine mini stacks, but not a ton of interest overall.
Yeah, lockstep again. Richie Smalls likes Rogers, Baez, Abanez mini stack. Yeah, Tigers definitely would keep in my pool as a mini. Don't love them as a 5-man. Chunky Blue, what's going on, man? Nobody to say sorry for coming in late. Appreciate you coming and hitting that like button for us. Always good seeing your name. 4 games left on this slate. Man, it's been a big one. And this is the big talking point when it comes to bats. Coors Field, Houston Astros, Colorado Rockies, Hunter Brown, and then a bullpen game for the Rockies. So it's a bullpen game against the chalkiest team on the slate. Unfortunately, what DK did, or I guess you could look at it both ways. Only one bat is above 5K, and that's Kyle Tucker, who's been smashing so many guys in the 3K range, low 4K range. Like you can stack the 5-man Astros. You can play the highest projected pitcher in Wu. You can play Eovaldi, and you can figure out a lineup. That's not a good tournament lineup. It's going to be very chalky. But I say it could be a good thing too, because I think the Astros, if they were all priced up 1K higher, the ownership would be a lot less on them. So I think it's an interesting fade. Again, I prefer Brian Wu eating that chalk more than I prefer the Astros. If I play the Astros, though, you can go like a Jordan Montgomery. I'm trying to think of a lower owned pitcher. You like Skubal, like a Skubal, Montgomery, Astro stack, a Tigers mini. Like there's always ways to play the chalk. I wouldn't completely eliminate them. It's just when you play them, be cognizant on how you play them is how I say it. But in a vacuum, I actually like the Braves more at home. A little better hitting weather. It's good hitting weather here as well. But I just like the Braves lineup top to bottom more than I like this Astros lineup. But yeah, I mean, over a 7 total, Coors Field, guaranteed 9th inning at bat. As far as the Rockies, I'll let you touch on the Rockies. You like Hunter Brown, so I don't think you have some interest, but they're going to be very low owned. Coors Field, a total little above 5. Again, I don't think it's the craziest thing, but not my favorite. What do you got?
Yeah, Astros are a fade for me. I just haven't played Coors Field too much outside of the Dodgers, maybe once or twice when the Dodgers were in there. I haven't played the Astros, I don't think, in maybe once all season. So I'm definitely not going to hop on the Astros here in Coors Field. They beat me. Coors Field has historically not been needed outside of the island slate where there was 24 runs scored by the Angels. Obviously, that was a very, very anomaly, outlier performance there. But yeah, not going to play the Astros. Hopefully it's like a 4-3 game or something like here in Coors Field, and the Braves drop a 10 spot. So off the Astros, the Rockies, I did have a little interest in Hunter Brown. I just very, very low ownership against the Rockies team. I don't care. It is Coors Field. Hunter Brown's been a solid pitcher all season long. Strikeout upside, I think, is there for him. But, I mean, Nolan Jones, you can always play him. CJ Cron's back in the lineup. 4K for both of those guys, I think, is fine. Just home run power hunting for me for the Rockies. But, yeah, pretty much a complete fade for me in Coors Field tonight.
I like it. Couple games left on this slate. Nades did say he set the like button a little low. I would have said 150. He said at 130, get you top 2 pitchers, top 3 hitters. We need 11 more likes. I know you guys will get it done. A push to 150 would be awesome, though. 3 games left on this slate. New York Yankees, Los Angeles Angels, Domingo Germán, Patrick Sandoval, 80 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit in LA. I like Sandoval. You can always play Stanton against a lefty. I'm not going to get to these guys as much. Oswaldo Peraza, if he is in the leadoff hole like he was yesterday, the lineup came out like right at lock. His ownership was way lower because of that than if it was out earlier. But 2.8K, I don't think it's the craziest thing. Second base, third base eligibility, little 1-2 mini stack, Peraza, Stanton. But I side with the Sandoval side more than I do the Yankees. So no for me there. And as far as Domingo Germán, I mean, you can always play Ohtani. I mean, it was just a free square. No such thing as a free square, but we talked about it. Top bat, he got it done yesterday. You can play him. Outside of him, I don't love this team as much. I like other spots on the slate more. So if I had to pick, I'd say more of a cross-off game than I have interest in. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Ohtani, you can pretty much have Ohtani come preloaded in your lineups each and every slate. If I had to pick one, I'd pick Acuna, I think, tonight. Just I like the Braves a lot more, but 6,400, 6,600, I think, is Acuna. They have very, very similar upside. You can actually argue Ohtani probably even without the stolen base, he will still steal bases, but Ohtani just doesn't steal as much as Acuna. But you can argue Ohtani right now has the most upside out of any player on the slate. I mean, the dude's almost have 40 home runs a week after the All-Star break. It's absolutely absurd. Not a ton of interest in these Angels. I'm not going back to the well. Domingo Germán obviously just threw the perfect game a couple weeks ago against the Athletics, which was absolutely incredible to watch that performance. Stanton for me and Harrison Bader are the only 2 interests I have in the Yankees. Pretty good hitting weather. I wouldn't be surprised if Stanton there's a pretty good chance Stanton's going to hit a home run tonight against Sandoval. Good hitting weather. I mean, the dude has smashed left-handed pitching all season long. 23 plate appearances on the road this season. 619 expected ISO and just a 4% strikeout rate. That's typically the issue you have with Stanton, right? Swing and miss. But he's seen the ball very, very well this year against lefties. So like Stanton, Harrison Bader has been good against lefties as well. And he's just 3,600. So just home run hunting for those 2 guys. But yeah, pretty much a cross-off.
Like it. 2 games left on the slates. I have interest in one of these teams, but the other 3 pretty easy fades. Then we'll get you the dong of the day, low-ish owned pitcher of the day. And if you guys get 130, we'll get you top 2 hitters or top 3 hitters, top 2 pitchers in our rankings over here at SHIPITNation.com. But if you want all the content, projections, if the hitter rankings, stack rankings, pitcher rankings, hoop slate plan, who's absolutely been on fire, what Nate is going with. Nate doesn't only just drop one core. Usually he plays 3 teams, drops a secondary one in Discord as well. Hamwich absolutely been on fire as well. Very knowledgeable. G Ryzen as well, always on the FanDuel streets. All their content up at SHIPITNation.com. And the cash games, I got you covered in the cash streets. Next game, Boston Red Sox, Oakland Athletics. We got Luis Medina on the mound for the A's. Red Sox are going to go with an opener. And it looks like they're going to go Chris Murphy. Chris Murphy is no Nick Pivetta. I'm not messing with any of these A's. They beat me. As far as these Red Sox, though, I don't think Medina's good. The bullpen's awful. These Red Sox, late night hammer, definitely has some interest in them. How they rank amongst like the Astros, the Dodgers, the Orioles. The Red Sox do crack my top 4, actually. I really don't think Medina's good, and I like picking on these A's. Guaranteed 9th inning at bat. Again, the weather I don't love, like a little above 60 degrees. I don't love the park, but, man, if bad pitching, get runners on base, I think they can turn over this lineup multiple times. So, I like these Red Sox. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I do like the Red Sox. It seems like a good night coming. Titletown and I myself are in lockstep on this slate. I mean, these Red Sox have treated me very well. Obviously, they hurt me a little bit last night against Paul Blackburn, who didn't work out. But the Red Sox are just starting to get locked in. Not the greatest hitting park, but I do think they can still get the ball done here. Jaron Duran, Justin Turner, Devers, Verdugo. I mean, pretty much 1 through 9, you can play these guys. Yoshida. Connor Wong would be my least favorite guy, but Yu Chang has pretty good numbers the last 30 days as well. So 1 through 9, bad bullpen behind Medina, a bad starter in Medina, and personally, in my opinion. So sign me up for these guys overall. My 2 favorite bats are probably Rafael Devers. Tristan Cassis is just a nice value play. 2,500 for him with home run upside is pretty absurd, but you got to make a choice between him and Justin Turner. Obviously, Justin Turner probably going to hit in the 3-hole. Tristan Cassis will be towards the bottom of the lineup, but I like them both. 1 through 9 for me in play for the Red Sox. Athletics, I'm not playing the Athletics on a 14-game slate. I can't do it.
Absolutely. 1 game left on the slate, and I think it's going to be very quick. It's going to be quick for me. I know that for free. Don't know about Nate's. Twins, Mariners, Bailey Ober, Brian Wu, 7 total. Pitchers Park, like both pitchers. X. This game beats me. It beats me. What you got?
Yeah, cross off. The only argument I could make is always it's MLB DFS, right? Hall of Famers fail 7 out of 10 times. Well, Brian Wu clearing away the chalkiest player on the slate. If you want to play some of these Twins, double leverage, you can do it, but not for me personally. Joey Gallo, if you want a home run hunt, sure, 3K. But, man, the dude strikes out at a 40% clip against righties. So not for me, cross-off spot for me, but it's just a game theory leverage approach. I think it's just a matter of, hey, if you're not playing Wu, just grab other guys. I don't think you need a double leverage with the Twins in a bad hitter's park.
I like it. Let's see what the likes. Are we going to give the top 2 and the top 3? 129. I mean, y'all will get it. So give it away, Nays. They're going to get it. Give them the top 3 hitters, the top 2 pitchers. Then we're going to give our low-ish owned pitcher, favorite low-ish owned pitcher. Worked out yesterday with Webb. Then we'll give a dong of the day, and we'll get on out of here. What you got for the people, the hitter and the pitcher rankings? Yeah,
we'll start with the little 3-pack, little 3-for-3 action here. Juan Carlos Stanton, I talked about. I mean, the dude absolutely rakes against lefties. Here's our number 1 ranked hitter over here. Probably very low owned, and he's just 4,500. So we were paying $5K for him in Coors Field, and he had an incredible series. DraftKings said, hey, we're going to give you a discount against the lefty, $500 off. Stanton, number 1. Corey Seager, number 2 at the shortstop against Taj Bradley. And then Juan Soto against that broken, hopefully, Alek Manoah on a pretty low-owned Padres stack, who I do have some interest in. So those are the top 3 ranked hitters over here. All 3 guys are going to be pretty low-owned, in my opinion. Go to pitchers. We talked about this guy quite a bit, Title. It's Joe Musgrove checking in number 1. I'm seeing very low ownership on him, 9,600. Again, I talked about Toronto, good, pretty solid pitching weather in Toronto. So Joe Musgrove, number 2, or number 1. And then number 2, you guessed it, the chalk of the slate. Brian Wu does rank very, very well. So that is one thing that I do gut check typically on very chalky pitchers. If they rank out good in our metrics and our StatCast data, I have a lot more, lot better chance to kind of ride the chalk and play him. So Brian Wu is our second ranked pitcher over here at SHIPITNation.com.
Love it. Nate's giving away. We appreciate you guys hitting the like button, like doing stuff like that. Those rankings have been on fire. So again, check that out at SHIPITNation.com. Boomer absolutely been on fire with that. Projections, all the rankings. And again, if you don't have too much time, you just want Nate's thoughts, Hoop's thoughts on the slate, we make it really easy. Favorite stacks, give a core play. G Rising gives some of his favorite bats on the slate as well. Core plays and cash games as well. Best ball content, PGA content. Make sure to check that out. Huge prize pools this week. MMA this week in London. Going to be an awesome card too. No better deal. $59 a month, $599 a year. Head over to SHIPITNation.com. And again, join the Discord if you do. Do not think you will regret it. Low-ish owned pitcher, dong of the day time. We'll start with the pitcher. I'm going to go Jordan Montgomery. He's in that range where 500 more. He's 300 more than Brian Wu. And then he's barely over. There's no Julio Rodriguez in the lineup. That was a good point by Andrew Martinez. I think he'll be higher owned. Screwball's right in that range too. I think those guys kind of eat at each other's ownership. But he's a minus 160 favorite. Pitcher's umpire behind the dish. Marlins one of the lowest team totals on the slate. He's a steady pitcher. On a slate like this, 16, 17, I will gladly take for Jordan Montgomery. So give me Montgomery as mine. Who do you got?
Yeah, I talk about this guy a lot. I'm not really worried about the pitch count concerns. Obviously, he's not going to go out there and throw a complete game. I'm going to Tarek Skubal in Kansas City in good pitchers weather, which is rare to see in Kauffman Stadium. Double-digit wind blowing in. It's mid-70s, low 70s. So it typically the last couple of weeks it's been 90+ degrees there, wind blowing out. That's changed, and I think Tarek Skubal posted a big number today at sub 15% ownership from what I'm seeing currently. So I like him.
I like it. Right in that same range. Dong of the day. Talked about I got to go to my favorite offense in the Braves. Going to the bottom of the order, though, down there. Michael Harris in the 7-hole, 4K. Love the lefties against Zach Davies. Michael Harris, I think he gets overlooked a bit. I like the wraparound stack right there. We talked a little bit about Hilliard. Set 4K for Michael Harris, all the upside in the world. I think he goes deep today. What you got, Nades?
Yeah, we're going to be on the same team here, and I'll give the team a little mini stack because I'm going back to back here. Matt Olson, Sean Murphy, a little 2-for-1. Add it to Michael Harris. I love the bottom. I love everyone in this lineup. I think Matt Olson, I'm not seeing a ton of ownership going to him either because he is 6K. Obviously, everyone wants to play those Astros. Give me $6,000 Matt Olson and $5,500 Sean Murphy to both go back-to-back there in Truist Park tonight.
King of Smack, you got to listen. You got to go back in 1.5x. You can yell at me. You guys have no love against Baltimore, against Grove. We got some interest. We talked about that earlier. We talked about Carrasco as well. So you can yell at me in the chat. I won't be here to see it. Drafters, though, our partnership, absolutely love Drafters. If you're not signed up over there, drafters.com, get over there. $100. They'll match you 100% from $20 to $100. Big Marley and I are going to do a live draft on Drafters tomorrow for best ball at 12:30 Eastern. So make sure to check that out. Any questions you have in best ball, we have a part in Discord. You can tag us and ask questions there. Awesome stuff, Nate. 14 game slate, hour 15 talking baseball. Appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us again. You guys do make the show go around. All your comments in chat, talking about it, Keno, make this show fun. We do appreciate all of you, just like we appreciate the like and subscribe on your way out. See you in the Discord at SHIPITNation.com. Head over to that. Check out the PGA content as well from Tambo and Hoop. That's going to do it for us, though, Nate. Great work as always. For Nate's, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.